Victoria,
Hello.
welcome to the Spoken Word.
Thank you so much for having me. Really excited to be here.
Oh, I can't wait. Victoria is such a beautiful name.
Oh, thank you.
Do you know where your name comes from?
No, tell me. It
Well, I
sounds
just
like
mean-
you do. Okay.
Well, no, I mean, we live in Canada, so like
Okay.
Queen Victoria, what else do
Yes,
I know?
yeah,
But I
yeah,
just
yeah.
was wondering if there was a story behind
No.
how
Or
you
like
got
why
named.
I'm named Victoria. Okay. Well, my
Yeah.
grandma's name's Victoria.
Okay.
Yes. So I have I was named after my grandma, which is a wonderful lady, very very beautiful woman. So
Mom's side or dad's side?
Mom's side.
Mom's
yes.
side?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where are you from originally?
I am from Bolivia.
Bolivia.
Yes.
So is this where Grandma Victoria also was from?
Yes.
Okay.
That's where she's from. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
great. When did you come to Canada anyways?
So I moved here when I was 16.
16.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. So today, Victoria Flores.
Yes.
Am I pronouncing your last name correctly?
Yeah, you got it.
Yay,
got it.
Flores.
Yes.
Because I never know where to put the emphasis. I'm a francophone, and in French, the
yeah.
emphasis is always the opposite usually. Anyway.
No, you got it.
Okay, Victoria Flores. You are communications manager at RODS,
And Regina Open Door, yes.
Regina Open Door Society.
Yeah.
What did you do today as communication manager at RODS?
Well, today I wasn't working at Open Door.
Oh,
No, I was doing a lot of my city council roles today.
okay.
But yeah, today I was kind of all over the place having a lot of meetings. But usually what I do at Regina Open Door is make sure that all of the wonderful things that are happening through our work, people know about them both internally and externally, and the community is aware of all of our programs, services, and everything that happens there.
Okay,
Yeah.
and what are the programs and services that RODS offers? And also, is Regina Open Door Society, like I've heard of other organizations in other cities also called Open Door, and they seem to sort of do the same thing.
Yeah.
So is RODS part of this like broader network?
Well, the Regina Open Door Society started about 50 years ago. This year is actually our 50th anniversary.
50th.
November 17th, the Regina Open Door will be 50 years. And it's one of the, I believe, the first settlement agency in Regina. And a few years after the Saskatoon Open Door started. We're not kind of like an affiliate, but we're both agencies that support newcomers and refugees kind of start their lives here in Regina.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm curious then.
Yeah.
Communications manager at RODS.
Yeah.
You've always been a friend of Bike Regina's, and we'll get into
Absolutely.
that in a little bit.
Yes.
But then now that you're counselor
Yes.
of
Yeah.
ward number
6.
which is sort of what area of the city?
So that would be Heritage, Al Ritchie, all of the industrial area, all of the warehouse area, Glen Elm, and Eastview. So it's actually one of the largest wards by zones, by area and population.
Yeah.
Fun fact.
Oh, and population.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And you were sworn in when?
November 2024.
2024. So
Yes.
you're now about a year and a half into this.
About
Okay.
a year and a bit, yeah.
So that's a good, duration into a 4-year term.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so I'm very curious. I've always wondered, like, what counselors really do,
What do we really do?
Yeah, but I guess more specifically, like, how do you split your time with your job? And so what's changed for you since, because you were communications manager at RODS when you became a counselor,
Correct, yeah.
and you're still communications manager at RODS.
Correct.
So you didn't like lose your job just because you're like slacking because you're so busy with counselor stuff.
For sure.
So how do you split that?
Yeah. So the council is technically a part-time job. I would argue it's a full-time commitment. But my role within Regina Open Door is quite flexible, mainly because a lot of what I have to do doesn't necessarily mean I have to meet with people specific times of the day, with like casework with the clients, the same way that other folks do in the organization, where their role is very strictly like, 8 to 4:30, like, and you have to be in that window. So I have a wonderful team that I work with at Open Doors, so it allows me some flexibility. And then during council, I have the one day that we are at council meetings. That's very on Wednesdays. They're almost all day, every Wednesday. But other than that, again, it's quite flexible, right? There's a lot of commitments in terms of events. Most of those are in the evenings, connecting with residents, addressing their concerns, and a lot of that can happen evenings and weekends.
Okay.
So it's quite busy, but it's manageable. So
Okay.
there's ways to make it happen for
Okay.
sure. Yeah.
What is the value of cycling in the city of Regina?
Oh, so much, so much. I think it for different people could be different things, right? For some folks, it is their main mode of transportation, right? And that's a huge value to them, is their way they get from point A to point B. For other people, it might be transportation, but also leisure and exercise. Other things could be, you know, finding friends and community and that type of thing. So I would say that there are so many ways in which cycling can play a role in our lives. And I've experienced many of those. And that's why I've kind of connected with Bike Regina and why I love cycling, because it is such a great way to get to know your city in a way that you just can't by car. Like, you just cannot see these beautiful little nooks and parks and areas and all the hidden spaces within neighborhoods. When you drive by, it's like half a second, and you have to pay attention to the road.
Blink and miss.
Right? Mm-hmm. Whereas when you're biking, you can just really get to know your city in a way that otherwise I don't think you can while you're driving. So, yeah.
How did you get here today?
Today I drove. I was hoping to bike, but I had too many commitments, and I'm like, I'm gonna arrive a mess.
Yeah. Don't feel bad. I came in a vehicle also today, but there were two of us. There were two of us.
Yes.
Do you ride your bike in the winter?
I do.
You do?
I do. I don't commute in the winter in terms of like getting to places, but I ride my bike on the fat bike trails.
Okay.
The Off-Road Syndicate does an incredible job grooming those trails. Huge shout out to them. It's a beautiful route through both sides of Wascana Park, and it's a great way to get to know that park as well, because it also is very different from just the path. Because you go through the trees and they create
off-road.
Oh yeah, it's really nice.
Do you have to have a fat bike to go on those trails?
Ideally, you could use a mountain bike if the weather is right. If it's too warm, it might create ruts.
Okay.
So I would advise like not to use too thin of a tire, because they do put a lot of work into grooming those.
You have a mid-fat, don't you?
I have a lot of bikes.
Yeah. Do you have a full fat bike with the 5-inch? Oh, with the 5-inch wide, do you? Don't you have a mid-fat with like the 3-inch wide?
No.
Oh, you don't?
No,
you go from like mountain, like 2-inch wide, 2.5, all the way to 5.
Fat bike.
Okay.
We just got our tires at a Dutch Cycle. They hooked us up with really good tires for that, and it made a difference.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Studded?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Who's we?
My partner and I. So
okay.
Like we both love cycling. So
yeah, that's fantastic.
In the winter we'll do those trails, or just like the multi-use pathway that goes all the way to the north end and back. So it's a great way to again get moving, some exercise, just go listen to a podcast and go for long bike rides. Yeah.
Did you love biking? Okay, so you moved from Bolivia when you were 16.
Yes.
Did you love biking in Bolivia?
So I didn't. I lived there till I was 14.
Okay.
I lived in the States for a little bit.
Sorry. I'm a little,
But I recall in Bolivia, this is such a beautiful memory. I'm hoping something like this could eventually happen. We had pedestrian days.
Pedestrian days.
Pedestrian days.
Plural.
Yeah.
What is this?
One day, but it was like...
every year.
Every year. There was a day where some streets, and I was a child, but I remember some streets were closed to cars.
Okay.
So it was only, like, no cars. So biking, rollerblading, walking, like... So I remember going out on pedestrian day and just riding my bike or going rollerblading with like my family and just having so much fun because you have the whole street to yourself. Yeah. You just go and have a blast. Yeah. And when I moved to the States, I actually used to bike to school because I lived close enough. Okay. So I used to bike to school when I went there.
And in the States, was it like a California or like a place that never has any snow, or was it like a Michigan?
No, it was West Virginia. So there was snow. And most of the biking happened in like when there was no snow. Yeah. Fun fact, when they have any snow, they had snow days all the time. And when I first moved here and there was minus 40 with snow, I'm like, there's no way there's school today. So I didn't go to school. And they had school. So I got a call.
Yeah, her absenteeism. Yes. We have a problem.
Yes. So that was quite an experience for the first year here. But yeah, no, I biked there, and I have one of my happiest, and it sounds silly, but one of my happiest memories, I remember it was all new and it was quite stressful, right? Like new school, new kids, new language. I was still learning English. And I went for a bike ride with some friends, and I remember going down a hill and just like feeling so happy on my bike, just like riding downhill. And it's just such a core memory.
And the wind is blowing through your hair.
Yes, you're just
I
out
love
with
it too.
friends, down a hill on a bike, just going on adventures, and yeah, so.
Oh, that's cool.
And I feel like I've had conversations with so many people that have similar memories.
Yeah.
Where like going around biking when they're kids as friends to the, you know, get snacks and just going off on an adventure. It's just, it again, going back to like, it helps you create community and stay active, and there's just so many great things about just being on a bike. It sounds silly, but you're just on a bike off on an adventure, and it's fantastic.
So like, obviously I totally agree, you know, because I've drunk the Kool-Aid, you know, I'm 39 years old and don't own a vehicle and all that, but I'm going to play devil's advocate a little bit and, you know, channel my inner, I'm rechanneling all the, you know, nasty comments that have been shouted at me from vehicles and stuff. So biking is something that a lot of people just by default, we associate it with children, you know, and everyone mostly can relate to these childhood memories that involve bikes and whatnot. Certainly no different for me growing up in the rural prairies, actually, you know, bumping down the gravel roads and stuff. But biking, like many other things about our childhood, like there comes a time when, oh, you're an adult now and society says, oh, you're supposed to act like an adult now and you're supposed to put away childish things.
That's when you get more bikes, actually, because you have adult money.
Yeah, maybe that, actually,
Let's reframe that. No, I hear you, though. It's absolutely, I have encountered the same as you, right, where
you're such a loser, grow up and get a license.
There's this really interesting culture around bikes on the road. You know, just this folks just not liking it for some reason. And I will never understand why. I mean, we could talk for hours about, like, you know, why there's this sense of ownership of the road just for cars and people complaining about traffic. But it's like, hey, if we give people other modes like active transportation or better transit, there's going to be less cars on the road. You're going to be stuck for less time in traffic. Like, it's a win-win for everybody. But yeah, no, I hear you absolutely. It's an interesting dynamic as you get older to just be like, oh, you're like, you go from a kid being happy on a bike to like this nuisance on the road on your bike.
Yeah, or like there was a time in my life, I guess, that I wasn't secure enough maybe, like now I'm 39, I guess I don't care anymore, but where I did feel like a loser, you know, because, oh, I'm riding a bike still, and people would say, oh, when did you lose your license? You know, you're a big alcoholic, and anyway, riding in the winter, why else would you? I'm over it now, you know. Yeah, so it's interesting. How many bikes do you have?
Oh boy, okay, so it all started with a mountain bike.
Mountain bike.
Here,
okay.
And because it was fun to go to Douglas Park or like Buffalo Pound and, you know, go down hills.
Yeah,
and
Buffalo Pound up by Moose Jaw.
Yeah, or like Wascana Trails, and you know, those are great places for like a mountain bike.
Yeah.
We don't have mountains here, but it's the closest thing.
Yeah, if anyone here is from BC, we're aware.
And then it's like, well, this is like, one day I decided I'm going to go for really, really long bike rides. And then that meant my mountain bike it's not the funnest to go for a really long bike ride on a mountain bike. It's like,
less efficient.
Yeah, it's like, I should get a road bike. So I went to Facebook Marketplace and I got myself a used road bike. And it's like, oh, this is really fun. I like this bike.
Yeah.
And then that's kind of how it started. Like the winter came, it's like, well, I can't really ride this bikes on the trails, so I feel like I should get a fat bike. So then we got that one, and now I'm on the hunt for a gravel bike.
That's the next purchase.
That's the next one. Well, so last year in the fall, we biked to Lumsden. And
are you crazy?
It was so much fun.
On the highway?
No. On
gravel.
On the grid roads.
Yes.
Which is why I feel like I need a gravel bike.
Oh, did you take your road bike?
No.
Your
I took
mountain
my
bike
mountain bike
on the
because
gravel.
yeah, and it was really fun on the like little hills of
Yep.
Lumsden.
Yeah. Isn't there a
'cause-
little bridge too and little river? And
So the Seven Bridges roadway
Yes.
into Lumsden is absolutely beautiful. Recommend it to anyone who wants to go on a long bike ride. It was a beautiful day. This wasn't planned, but it was the same day that they had their parade. Their
In Lumsden?
So as we arrived to Lumsden, there was a parade happening. So it's like,
They
we
were-
made it. There's a
they were
parade
really
for
happy to
us.
see us.
Yes. There's a duck derby. It was
Oh.
great. It was so good.
I know what a duck derby is, but I bet you some people don't. Tell us what a duck derby
Okay,
is.
I just learned that day what it was. They just throw rubber duckies on the river, and you're hoping one wins to get to a place.
Like-
And there's a giant rubber ducky also.
Oh, there's a giant one too.
Yes.
Doesn't everyone purchase a
Yes,
rubber
yes,
ducky
yes,
and
yes.
you scribble your name on the bottom or
Yes,
something?
yes. And
It's a fundraiser.
It's a fundraiser.
Yeah.
So it's really cool.
And then you dump them all off the bridge.
Yes. Yeah.
And then you have a finish line somewhere.
correct.
And whoever's ducky, wins the race.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
So
Oh, so fun.
it was fun, but at the time it was comedic timing as we
Yeah.
arrive, and it was a hot day too. So I
Yeah.
was like, I wasn't sure if I was going to make it. I'm like, I might
Yeah.
have to call my mom to pick me up
Yeah.
because it was hot. But we made it. It's our parade. So
Wow.
it was
So
great.
do you start like from, I'm assuming, you have to live in your ward, right? You live in your ward to represent your ward?
Well, technically, you don't have to.
Oh, you don't?
You don't have
Oh.
to.
But do you live in your ward?
I live across the street from my
Oh.
ward. So interestingly enough, when they redraw the boundaries, there were some changes, and I live in my ward
Previously, like previous boundaries.
and then now like across the street from me is my ward, and my side of the street is Ward 1.
Oh, geez. And you're representing Ward 6
Yes.
from across the
And-
street.
But
Well,
I'm
that's
like,
fine.
Yeah, and again, you don't have to live in the ward. You just have to live in Regina.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. I
which
didn't
I
know
thought
that.
was so funny because I am so familiar with the neighborhood. Our previous home was just in the same neighborhood, and my
Okay.
parents live in the neighborhood.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Anyway, my question about Lumsden was going to be, did you bike from your ward, which is a bit of a hike, like
Yeah,
it's,
yeah.
kind of kitty corner to that side of the city. Did you bike all the way and now you're on the edge of the city
Yeah.
and now you're leaving the city and now you're on the gravel road and like you didn't like drive to the edge of the city,
No.
park?
Yeah, just
Okay.
from our house to Lumsden and back.
Okay.
And
Wow.
funny enough, when I got back, I was at like a few years before, the year I got a road bike, I decided I'm going to try to bike 100 kilometers in the city.
Okay.
So I biked all over the city and tried to find every single like multi-use pathway and bike path and bike lane and stuff. So I made 100 kilometers in the city in one day. And I actually made it to 102 something by the time I got home.
Did you do that because you're a counselor and you're like, oh, I need to know where everything is?
No, this was way
Before?
before. Yeah,
Really?
this was just like a fun challenge to do. Just be like, oh, I wonder if I can do 100 kilometers. And if I can, like, if there are enough places, and again, getting to know the city that way, like I discovered so many little parks and pocket parks that I had no idea existed.
Yeah.
And it was so much fun. So when we went to Lumsden, my Strava longest ride was 102 kilometers. When we got back, I was at 101 something, and I was like, no, I need to beat my old record. So we got back, I was so tired. I'm like, I'm gonna do one more loop around the park just so I can beat my old record.
And did you?
I did.
Yay. How many kilometers?
I think it was 106.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, you beat it by quite a bit.
Yeah.
You didn't just shut her down at like
Well, it was hard. By the
102.1.
time like I got to it, I was like, I need to commit. So it's gonna make my next longest ride longer now. So.
Yeah.
But I'm excited.
Yeah.
It's fun. Yeah.
How do you clock your kilometers?
I just put it on Strava. It's just an app.
Is this like on your like cell phone?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It's an app that you can do any kind of outdoor activity.
Okay.
Where it kind of tracks how long you've gone and like where you've gone, and you can see other people on it too. So it's really cool. It's a fun way to gamify this idea of like going places and track
Okay.
how long you've gone. Yeah.
And is it for cyclists, but like also runners, let's say?
Yeah, you runners,
Okay.
ski, and like any outdoor, and actually you can track your workout. Like, and if you have it connected to any device, it'll track. Like, yeah, it's a really great way to keep track of all of those things. I do it with cross country skiing. I do it with running. I don't run a lot. I walk a lot more than I run.
Yeah.
Biking, of course.
Yeah.
I did it when I went rowing or paddling I was part of the dragon boat.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so you can do that with Strava. It's really cool. So you can show you like everywhere you went and how long you paddled
But then
for.
don't you have to have your highly expensive, very not waterproof device with you on the water?
Yeah, but you have I have like a thing, like a waterproof
Thingamajig.
Yeah.
Okay, and you just roll it up in there and
Yeah,
you feel okay about that.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, whatever.
There's ways.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Tell us the story of how you got involved with Bike Regina.
All right. So many years ago, actually during the pandemic, at Open Door, I had met a few people who were involved with Bike Regina, who were just friends. So I knew of you guys and I knew of the work. But through my work at Open Door, we found that a lot of, especially refugees that had recently arrived, just didn't have much to do. And
Oh, really? Like as in filling the hours in a day?
well, a lot of the activities that usually you would have people meant having them in a room, right? Like with an activity or something. But because of social distancing, many things were kind of like, well, can't do this now, right?
Okay.
And that was the same summer that I went on a lot of my really long bike ride adventures.
Okay.
So I was thinking, there's so many empty, beautiful parks and so many things happening. It's like, what if we do group rides? And I was like, we could do group rides and just like, and then it's like, well, not everyone has a bike. And we need people to like, I started to think about all the logistics of how do you get this to happen?
Yep. Insurance and, oh my goodness.
All of the things. So I had talked to a friend of mine, his name is Alberto. He's now a triathlete. He's doing fantastic. And he's just a all-around great person. And he mentioned his friend who was at the time, I don't believe he's on your board anymore, Andres, and connected with him and with Brandon. And I met with them, told them all about my idea about doing group rides and if they could like tag along and like partner with us to do these group rides to help us plan and lead the group rides, because that's not something I'm very familiar with, and it'd be great to have more folks helping out. So they loved the idea, and that's kind of how it started, because we chatted, and then I'd met someone, I believe it's called Merb's Rides. I'm misremembering a little bit, but at that time it was this initiative of this person who collects bikes and they fix them in one day and they give them out.
What? In Regina?
He's out of Saskatoon, but they come
see.
to Regina.
Oh.
So I connected with them and I told them all about this. Like, well, come, we'll get you some bikes. So we got a bunch of bikes from them and got you guys on board to do the planning and leading of the group rides.
Yeah, the Bike Regina board and volunteers.
Exactly. Okay. And then work with our staff at Open Door, our youth program and team, to kind of get people to be part of it, because we have a youth program.
Okay.
So that's kind of how it started. We got people, and then at the end of the ride, they got to keep the bike.
Yep.
And ever since then, we've continued to work with Bike Regina for our summer program.
Okay.
To have cycling as part of one of the activities that kids do. Not just cycling, but to learn about bike safety, the rules of the road, and all kinds of things. So it was just such a great way to connect all of the great work that Bike Regina does to folks who are new to Regina, who might, actually many of them, cycling was a mode of transportation.
Like in their home country?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
really?
Like they biked everywhere, so it's something they're familiar with.
But here they are in this snowy country without their bike from home.
Exactly.
Okay.
So now it's just something familiar, and again, another way to make friends, to stay active, and again, it's something that everyone can benefit from. And for us, it was such a great partnership because the values align, right? Like, we all want to build community. We want to promote cycling. We want to promote an active lifestyle. So it was just a no-brainer. It worked really well.
Wow. Yeah. So I know all the rides that you're talking about. Of course, many of our viewers maybe won't. But I guess I just always assumed that you were with Bike Regina from before that. But no, it really was through this like youth, basically like a teenage group bike ride that you wanted to see Rods do.
Yeah,
And Bike
yeah.
Regina was able to help a little bit with that.
Absolutely. That's kind of was the official start, right? Like before that,
Yeah.
again, I'd met a few folks and I attended a few of the meetings.
Yeah.
Because I really I'm really glad to see this type of groups, community groups come together because this is really important, right? Like promoting good active transportation, promoting all of these things and education around it. Like so much I've learned about the work that goes to even work with SGI about like how do we educate drivers about like cyclists on the road and the advocacy that is done through places like Bike Regina, and it's so important because it's good to be evidence-based and well-informed. So yeah.
How has your love for biking, your knowledge and experience about biking, which of course comes from the passion, but you know, for example, exploring every inch of bike trail in Regina and knowing about gravel rides, you know, all that experience, how, if at all, has it affected you in your role as councillor? It could be the way that you engage with your work. It could be the way that you understand documents that you have to read. Really, it could be anything. You know, is there any intersection there between biking and now being a councillor, which is much newer in your life than biking is?
Absolutely. A lot, especially in the way that we build our communities in our cities, right? Like when we talk about what creates a place that is livable, where everyone feels like they have their space. Do we have just really wide roads for cars only, no sidewalks, and that's your only mode of transportation? Or do we have spaces that have options for everybody and everyone has the infrastructure they need to get around, right? And I think that's really important. And for me, when I want to talk about the need for that, I want to advocate to make sure that we and we have incredible city planners in our city that have developed that within our transportation master plans, like active transportation is part of it. So it helps me not only understand when I read those plans, but just see like what else could we do? To your comments earlier in terms of like people have different thoughts. Cyclists, sometimes I hear about, we have all these bike lanes to nowhere. I'm like, well, if we finished them, they would go somewhere. So, right?
Okay.
So it's the idea of being able to connect with folks that have a lot more knowledge than I do to kind of learn and be able to get more insight about, okay, so when we're planning for our budgets or when we're, you know, doing anything in our neighborhoods, is there something else that could be done so spaces are more walkable or that more access, safer access to cyclists? And in this new role, how can I advocate for the policy that makes that possible, right? Because I feel like we all can play a role in whether it's advocacy, education, policy changes, or just being out there on a bicycle, like just to show that we are out there. There's a little bit less in the winter, but you know, like there's cyclists out there and people will go where the infrastructure exists, right? Like, so if there isn't a safe place to cycle, and especially as a mode of transportation, of course you're not going to see people. And I actually saw that, such a clear example of that, when I was kind of exploring the city. And if I go south to north, the Devonian pathway is great. You can stay on the multi-use pathway with crossing maybe a few streets, and it feels quite safe for both pedestrians and cyclists. And then I would take it going east, and by the time I got to the end of it on the east, it's like a scary cross of Victoria Avenue. And then there's some more path, but then after that there's nothing else. So if I wanted to go, if I lived in the end of the city, I'm quite limited, right? And that part of the city it's mostly built entirely for cars, right? So like if you wanted to cycle down Victoria Avenue, it's a bit of a scary undertaking, right?
Yeah.
Whereas if you wanted to cycle down 13th Avenue, the infrastructure is there. I'm not saying you put a bike lane down Victoria Avenue, but around the area, like there are definitely different ways that in some spaces you see really good infrastructure. And I'm like, why did it stop there? Right? And that's the comment to like, they need to go somewhere.
Go somewhere.
So they can stop the bike lanes to nowhere.
Yeah, yeah.
And I've learned so much about, like what's the difference between an on-road bike lane versus why not having share multi-use pathways, like which one belongs where, and all of these things. And
oh, you've learned that since your time as being a counselor.
Before and as a counselor, right? Like and as a counselor in the context of like, well, when we're building or rebuilding our sidewalks, why don't we make them wider, right? And there are reasons in some cases why yes, in some cases why not.
Really?
Right? But it's really interesting to kind of get to know the city from that perspective. And the thing with infrastructure, like if you build a multi-use pathways, it's not just bikes that go on there. It just means pedestrians feel safer. You can go in your stroller. You have a better sidewalk. It's good all around for everybody. It's like the same way whenever we build something for accessibility, yes, it makes it accessible for folks that need that, but everybody else also benefits.
Right.
Think about like the ramps, like or the for like on sidewalks, right? So
like instead of just having a curb that drops off into the
so that's an accessibility feature, but it's also good for anybody else who
dragging a suitcase, like whatever, anything on wheels, or even just like not tripping, not having a major step.
Yeah.
Can you give us an example of an area where this specific type of infrastructure is appropriate and this other type is not, whether it's a bike lane, whether it's like
a multi-use pathway?
Yeah.
So, for example, bike lanes in downtown areas are great because our sidewalks are not wide enough, right? I wouldn't advocate to like just have cyclists on the sidewalks because you could hit somebody, right? Because there are more people on sidewalks. And for example, if you go out in suburban areas, it would be really hard to put a bike lane, because not many folks likely bike down a busy like Arcola Avenue type things, whereas we have multi-use pathways adjacent to that. You can get all the way there on that multi-use pathway and hop on streets and things like that.
Okay.
Right. So, but the beautiful thing of all of that, like I don't have to be the expert of it. I just need to listen to the experts, and all of us do, right? Like they're engineers and planners and people that dedicate their lives to figuring out how to make all of this work in a way that is conducive to having a livable city, right? And that's probably one of my favorite parts of not only folks at Bike Regina, because you guys have some great engineers on your board. And also, city like planners at the city and other people that I've met who like their work is to figure out how do you do transportation, right? And that doesn't just mean cars. That means everybody needs to move around, right? Like how do we make sure that there is good infrastructure for pedestrians to move around safely, whether it's good sidewalks, good crosswalks, well-lit spaces, or like active transportation infrastructure, or, like how do we make sure that we have enough public transit to get, so all of these things that move people around, there's all the data and information that shows us what works, right? Because we're not the only city, right? And cities are doing different things all over the place, and it's great to see like that worked really well there, or that didn't quite work there, and that type of thing.
So in your work, you mentioned the Transportation Master Plan, and it's great to see the City of Regina is thinking about active transportation. Now, active transportation means a lot of different things. And biking is only one of those things. So, like, are you ever bumping into this, I don't know if friction is too strong of a word, but like, well, as decision makers, we're really indifferent between all the different modes of active transportation. It could be 0% biking and 100% these other modes of active transportation. It's all the same to us. Are you bumping into that at all, or do you see a bright future for that kind of these categories, to get some recognition in the subcategories?
Yeah, I see a mix, and I think a lot of it has to do with maybe exposure and understanding. Like if all you've ever done to get around is drive, then of course it seems like the obvious choice, right? Like what else is there, right? But if you meet folks that all they've ever done, or the majority of the things they do is like use transit, you know, they can't understand why would you need a car? You get transit, and once in a while you can drive also. But so the idea is, to me, is if we only use one life experience to build our policy and the way we build our cities, of course it's not gonna be good for everybody, right? Whereas if we inform the way we do policy by looking at all of the ways in which people move in a city, then we can create the type of transportation infrastructure that caters to everybody, right? And I don't think it's an either or. Also, I come across that sometimes, like if you have a bike lane, you can't have a road for cars, right? It's like, well, they're both on the same one. But I think it is a journey of, I think, folks learning, like what does this mean? As you said, like active transportation means a lot of things. And sometimes there is absolutely friction, right? And I think a lot of it has to do with people's life experience and their understanding of like, there can't be any other option because I haven't experienced another option. And it's just, that's why I've done like last year I did a couple bike ride with your councillor sessions.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
Okay, is that organized by Bike Regina?
Yes, it was in partnership with Bike Regina.
Okay, how did that work?
It was great. So we had two. And
so it's basically like Bike Regina gets on the socials and is like, hey, open public call to all you councillors. You better be here on this day at this time and come ride your bike with us.
And I invited all council. The mayor was there on the first one.
What?
Yeah, he went for a bike ride with us.
Do you know how hard it was in the past to get people to come to these things? I didn't even realize Bike Regina. I thought that we gave up on that.
No. And I'm planning to do it again this year, and I'm trying to theme them. So last year we explored all of our multi-use pathways on the first ride.
What?
And again, it was a great ride where we had one of the folks from Bike Regina kind of talk about all of the different features of these pathways and why certain things, again, all the things I'm not an expert in, but I see the value on. But now we have people like the mayor or other people that join the ride to be able to not only hear about it, but experience it. Like, I didn't want to talk about cycling. I wanted to talk and cycle the talk.
Yeah. Right. Talk the talk and cycle the, I don't know.
And so this year I'm hoping to do that again. I have one in mind. It's exploring the bike lanes to nowhere. It's bike lanes. I'm thinking as a theme, just
Love
to see,
it
like,
so much.
Imagine if this bike lanes went somewhere. What would it look like?
Yeah.
But yeah, the idea is, like, if we're going to talk about active transportation, let's do it well on active transportation. And it's a great way to engage with people. As a city councilor, I could bring everyone in a room and get yelled at about things, or we could all just go for a bike ride and have fun and talk about the same things, right? And folks at Bike Regina have been fantastic to partner with for that, because, I mean, they're the experts in building the routes and, like making sure it works, because I couldn't do that by myself. I wouldn't want to do that by myself. So, and of course, I'm always a huge advocate of getting people out to Glow Ride in the fall, because that's a fantastic event. Again, another great way to explore the city at night on a bike.
Yeah, we usually get like 80 people or some crazy thing.
It's fantastic.
It's so many.
I love it. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of the bike bus.
Yes. Like a bunch of bikes are cruising around picking up kids on the way to school,
yes.
but it's like you don't get picked up. It's like you come out with your bike.
Exactly.
And the convoy just gets bigger and bigger of bikes.
Yes, I want something like that here. I don't know how to work, so I'm trying to think, how do we make a bike bus happen? Like, and where in the city could you make a bike bus happen, right? So, and again, that's where working with folks from Bike Regina and other people in the city who are passionate about cycling makes it happen, because working in community is always better than working alone.
Yeah.
That's what I think anyway, so
yeah. In about 5 minutes, I'll see if there are any questions. We've actually got like a packed house today. This is so exciting.
I love it.
And so start thinking about your questions.
Yeah.
But I still have some more questions for you.
Yes, please go ahead.
Can you tell me about a time that bikes brought neighbors together?
Like in my personal experience?
Sure. Or maybe just people in general.
Yeah.
You've been talking today a lot about, like, obviously there's the Rod's work, there's the newcomers, the refugees, and actually that leap not being as big as I thought it was because biking, they loved biking in their home country. I mean, there's probably a spectrum, right? Where like we've got people who have never been on a bike, so you know, we can work with that. It's okay. Everyone's on their journey.
Exactly.
You know, you've talked a lot about community in your own life, living where you are and your wards across the street, and you and your partner going biking together. You've talked about being a councillor now, and it's really important to city representatives and city planners to build community. So we've talked a lot about community today in different ways, and I'm just curious if there was ever a story where bikes brought neighbors or people together.
Well, I mean, like things like bike bus and like initiatives like that, I can see
for the future potential.
Bringing together. Yeah. But in my case, for example, in the summer, I try to get out with friends who ordinarily don't bike a lot, or we don't bike together. And a great and fun way to do it is when they have the hop circuit.
Hop circuit.
Yes.
What is this?
So the hop circuit is an initiative through both. Well, it's mostly a warehouse bid in some of the brewers. So
Warehouse Business Improvement District.
Correct.
Okay. Where lots of the pubs are.
Yeah,
and
exactly. So
warehouses.
Instead of like, there's different ways to get through it, but we bike them, and so we go on group rides with friends.
Okay.
And it's interesting because I mentioned earlier that I have a lot of bikes, just because one for every occasion.
So you invite like 8 friends because you have like 8 bikes?
Yes.
Brilliant.
Some of our friends have their own bikes, of course, and sometimes we invite our friends like, well, my bike's not tuned up. I'm like, don't you worry, just come on over, we got you.
Got you covered, honey.
Right? So, you know, we have like a big group of friends just riding down this, you know, around the city, and it's so much fun, and it's a great way to connect. And again, it's so much different than just sitting in a space, right? Like we'll go from place to place, and it's a great way to support our local businesses and get to know our city that way. But just the day and the hours spent just riding around, it kind of brings you back to just being a kid and just that summer adventure, just going around on your bike. It's really great.
I think I read, I think it was in a marriage book, but there's this just phenomenon that's just like a fact about humans, is when we're physical with each other, like not necessarily wrestling, you know, but maybe some people will, playing racquetball, you know, like anything, that shared physical activity brings you closer together. You know, like maybe that's why I love aerobics
getting
so much.
like endorphins together.
Yeah.
I'm not a scientist, but I can. That's my hypothesis.
Well, you know, it's a shared. It agrees with our experience. So
no, I would say like also just meeting people that like I've met folks that join like bike rides, and then they tell me, oh, I'm going on a bike ride with this other people now, and just seeing like that becomes an activity that you can do. And oftentimes it stays with the like in the summer, but then in the winter there are groups that do different winter biking events, and it's so much fun because you go from like going around by yourself, and whenever you join this event where you're like, oh, there's a whole group ride happening, and then you get to meet new people or see people that, like, I've met folks that I had no idea were avid cyclists. It's like, oh, you like biking too? That's great.
Really?
Yeah. So it was really great to kind of get to know a person that way.
Like you knew them before, but you didn't know they were like this bike nut.
Yes.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, right. And or like they just love biking, and once in a while there's an event they can go to.
Yeah.
So there's been a few in the winter, like with like fat biking events, and then there's just all kinds of ways to like get together with people and just go for a bike ride.
Yeah. Okay.
My goal though is maybe one day we can make pedestrian day happen and just like
shut down some streets. What streets would you shut down?
I feel like if we could do something like on Dudney Avenue,
right?
because it's like freshly paved. It's great.
Yes.
But there's so much around, right? So you'd have a way to visit so many restaurants and in places where it's become such a walkable area as well because they widen all the sidewalks. And I think it would be a great place to do that, or down Albert, or like we do them for marathons, right?
Oh, yeah,
like
I
you
guess
think about the
so.
Queen City Marathon, we shut down streets and people
Right,
go for
detour the vehicles
Exactly.
around. It's not like the city comes to a lurching
No.
halt.
We will not shut down the city.
Yeah.
No worries. No, but again, to experience the city in a completely different way.
Sure.
And it gets people out, right? And of course, not everyone, and it doesn't have to be for everyone.
Yeah.
But there are enough folks, I think, that would love to just have, it doesn't have to be during a pedestrian day, but at any point, just get out there and enjoy their city in this way. Yeah.
I love all your dreams. This is what an aspiration. Yeah, just great. Like bike bus and the, I don't want to call it what's it called again? Pedestrian day.
Pedestrian day.
Yeah, not shut down the streets day.
No.
Pedestrian day.
Pedestrian day.
Yeah, your ideas are so fantastic. I'm feeling so inspired today. So wonderful.
Yeah.
My last question for you.
Yes. Yeah.
What is your next planned bike ride?
My next planned bike ride.
Could be anything. Could be your exercise bike in the basement.
Well, actually, I was hoping to go for a long ride this Sunday.
Oh.
If it doesn't melt, because it's quite warm out right now.
Yeah.
Just to go all the way to the north end. Because I went for a bike ride, not yesterday, but the day before yesterday.
On your fat bike?
Yeah.
On the path?
Yeah, and no, on the fat bike path, I guess.
Oh, the fat bike path, the off-road path.
Yeah, and I was thinking, I'm just going to go for a short one. And by the time I got far enough, I was like, I'm just going to keep going. And eventually I'm like, I'm at 8 kilometers already. I should just do at least 10. That's how they keep adding up.
Yeah, that magic number.
But on that path, both in the summer and in the winter, if you go by Candy Cane Park, it's called, I forget the trail name, but it's right by the water portion of it, and it's really fun because it's so pretty, especially in the winter with all the snow.
Lots of trees.
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
this
yes,
is like
yes.
the off-road path.
Yes.
The off-road,
So
the groomed
that's a really
trail.
Fun one. And it's
Cool.
and for anyone worried about it being cold, once you're moving, you warm up really quick.
I 100% agree. Waiting at a bus stop, like you're shivering your little buns off. Whereas, I'm standing there and I'm going like, oh man, I wish I was on a bike right now. Wish I was on a bike. Because, you heat up.
Yeah, you warm up quite a bit. So I think that's another piece of advice for anybody. It's just once you figure out what is the good ratio of like warm clothes to cold weather and activity you're doing, it's the best because you're never cold, right?
Bike Regina has some good winter biking resources.
Yes,
Check out their
You guys
everything.
just did something with Frost, right? Winter cycling.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yippers. Winter cycling. It's possible.
It is absolutely possible.
Sorry, I just thought of one more question.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you have to go around dog poop on those groomed trails?
No, actually, I would say folks are really good at picking up after their dogs.
Wonderful.
As someone with a dog who also, I think about that every time because I would hate someone to like bike over. No, I find that it's especially in those trails, folks are really good at picking up after their dogs, not themselves, their dogs, not themselves.
Great. Yeah. Okay. Well, does our full house have any questions for our guest, Victoria Flores, Councillor of Ward 6 and Communications Manager at Regina Open Door Society? Yes. Let me come over to you with my microphone. You can just speak into my T-shirt collar.
Okay, I'm just curious, is there anything coming before council anytime soon in support of improving cycling infrastructure in Regina, or has that kind of dropped off the radar with all the things like with budgeting and everything else at this point?
I wouldn't say anything has necessarily dropped off the radar. I believe there's works happening with our transportation master plan. I've been working on things around pedestrian safety and active transportation, and this is where connecting with folks and kind of getting that feedback from people to inform, like, what is it, what's missing from what we're doing, right? And I think there's a good balance between, we do have really smart, like capable professionals who work in the planning department who know what they're doing, right? Like I will never pretend to be like, I'm going to tell you the solution, because I don't have that solution.
We have planners for that.
Right, exactly. However, from a perspective of someone who is an elected official for the policy side, I love being able to learn and hear, like, what is it that we're missing? Or maybe I know that, like, we aren't funding the expansion of our active transportation, bike lanes and things like that in the way that we could to finish all those, like, bike lanes to nowhere.
Lots
right?
of disconnected areas,
Exactly, right?
links that haven't been connected.
Right, so there are the people who can tell us, like, this is how this can work, this is how we can plan this, and this is what we need, the resources we need for that. So I would say, I think some things will be coming in the future. There are some reviews to some of those plans, and especially as we're planning. We recently did our
Renewal?
No. It's blanked out. I just want to call it sprawl, but it's not just sprawl. But like all the neighborhoods that will be coming, right? Like that will be built around the city.
Yeah,
And the
developing.
and the idea is to build complete neighborhoods, right? So as that happens, making sure that in my role, I believe it's like advocating to make sure that we have the appropriate infrastructure when those developers go out there, and we have proper sidewalks, proper infrastructure for everybody there. So, yeah.
We have time for another question. Yes, one moment. Is this Lucas? Hi, Lucas. So nice to see you. Lucas is a planner. He's very professional. He was our very first guest on the podcast.
Yes. Hi, thanks for being here.
Hi.
I read a news story the other day about how younger Canadians, 35 and younger, are finding challenges with affording a car. Registration rates are down for cars for younger people.
Yeah.
The story highlighted a woman in Vancouver, she's about 30, who gets around the city entirely or primarily via the city-run bike share service for $20 a year.
Oh,
the same story highlighted the average cost of car ownership monthly is $1,300 for the average Canadian per month. I'm wondering if you could speak on the benefits to the bottom line of both a household and the city regarding like investments in active transportation and how families and the city as a whole can benefit financially from these investments.
All right, big question. I like it. I wish I had Elle here. Elle from Bike Regina could actually speak to a lot of the stats and numbers on that, because it is true, right? In terms of how much we spend on transportation is very much dictated by what we use for transportation, right? Registering your car, if you have car payments, maintenance of your car, it all adds up. Whereas if you use other modes like public transit, for example, your cost will be a lot less. If you use walking or cycling, your cost will be a lot less. I really like what you mentioned, like bike shares. That'd be something cool to have in Regina. But it definitely is something that provides an option for folks. And that option is only truly a real option if we have that infrastructure for that to be an option in our city, right? So that goes back to thinking about, like, if we build our city and we build our infrastructure in a way that people could choose and say, you know what, I don't want to use a car all the time, and I want to be able to have this option safely, and I want to be able to go out there without fearing for my life. It would create it as a very valid option, and especially in a time where folks are, as we see prices going up of all things, I think there's a lot of value to making those investments, because it goes beyond just people's ability to afford a car or their like general transportation budget, but it also goes to our the way that we have to invest in maintaining our roads, and because the weight of cars and the less you have, the less wear and tear there's on the roads, right? So overall, and that's why I mentioned Elle would be great, because I know has some great stats on this, some really great information. I've learned a lot from her, actually.
So have
about
I.
these things, right?
She's so smart.
Just the impact that this has in many ways, like even talking about the health care outcomes of folks having different modes of transportation outside of cars, like walking, cycling, and things like that, the impact that that has on their health, and that then translate to how much we're spending in healthcare. So overall, I would say very much something that has positive impacts in our community, not just on our own budgets and what we can afford, but also the way that we spend in different things like roads and healthcare and all kinds of things. So
I would like to add one more thing.
Yeah,
Actually,
so-
two things
yeah.
before we open it up for one last question, because we have time. Just anecdotally, I've been biking year round I started when I was 15 years old, out of necessity, in Yorkton, Saskatchewan. Like the only person literally in a city of 16,000 people or whatever. And then I couldn't believe it when I moved to Regina. And anyway, this isn't the Angèle show. This is the Victoria show. So I just continued on biking, and it was easier in Regina, and I've never calculated the costs myself. However, I will say that just living a frugal lifestyle and biking as a part of that, and actually Corey was on the spoken word once and was mentioning how, like, for $50 you can get a burner bike that you can ride in the winter. Like, it's not that expensive.
That's the road bike I bought off of Facebook Marketplace. It was about $100, and we still
Really?
it was a great bike,
Yeah.
right? And it was someone I think they just got a new bike, and
Yeah.
we still use it, and
Yeah.
it's great.
Yeah.
And
Super affordable to get into. There is an expensive way to do biking as well, and bike shop employees are notorious for that because everything's on discount. So the more you spend, the more you save. But it has been the most affordable thing for me. The benefits, like, I feel like I've been saving society money because they're not having to spend on, like you were mentioning, healthcare, the mental health aspect, just of getting that physical exercise and stuff. So I should actually calculate the numbers just anecdotally. Like, it has to be thousands and thousands a year.
And that's why I mentioned it, was because there are studies, like, we have data on all of these things.
Right.
Like, it's not just of a feelings and vibes. Like,
Yeah.
providing different modes of transportation is not just because someone feels like it. Like, we have empirical data that shows the impacts and benefits of these things, right? And that all goes back to, it's not me deciding, like, oh, I think this is a great thing. It's like, hey, let's listen to the people that whose jobs and careers are built in understanding how we build cities and how we build networks of transportation and what is successful and the type of city you want to live in, right? Like, do you want to live in a concrete wasteland where all you have is, like, little boxes of houses and, like, you get by car everywhere? Or do you want to have something that has variety? And again, going back to, like, summers biking around the city, like, we love to, they're not here anymore, but there was a shop on 13th Avenue, and we used to go get croissants there every Saturday morning, right? And then from there we go somewhere else, and
By bike.
again, like, getting to know the city that way and exploring places that otherwise, like, we just don't stop by. Something that, and I love that the stats that were provided during a council delegation from Bike Regina, just talking about the economic impact of places where when you have streets that are walkable, or that you have, like, more cycling infrastructure, folks are more likely to stop by businesses rather than when you just have people driving by. And unless you're planning to go there, you might not stop there.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
So again,
Yeah.
it's all goes back to the information and data exists to back the investments in things like active transportation, things like walkable cities. It's just then having the will to listen to that data and information and make decisions based on that, right?
Yeah.
And always remember that it's not an either or. It's not this scary idea that suddenly, like, we don't want any cars. Not at all. I drive. Like, I got my car here today.
Yes.
Because that was my option. But I also would love to, if I don't want to drive that day and I want to get downtown, feel safe being able to do that, right? And I know that's possible because we wouldn't be the first city in North America that does it. There's many places that are also winter cities.
Yes. Calgary.
That is not an excuse. There are also winter cities that have great infrastructure, right?
Yeah.
And again, it doesn't have to be just a bike lane on the road. There are many options available, and once again, the beautiful thing is it's not up to us politicians to decide that. It's like when we listen to folks that have that expertise that can inform us of how that all works, what is the best way to accomplish all of that, that's where I think really great decisions can be made. So.
And a plug for our viewers, when Victoria's talking about Elle, she's talking about
Yes.
Ellen McLaughlin, who's actually in the room today, but was also on an episode. She was the guest of the former Spoken Word.
Yes,
So check
yes,
out
yes.
our podcast channel.
Yes.
I think we have like 1 minute left. Is there a 1 minute question? Oh, we have a 1 minute question right here.
If you winter cycle, what's the coldest you've ever been out in?
The coldest you've ever
Cold is
biked
it?
in?
Like -40. Yeah. I actually, so I'm not remember if you remember a couple weekends ago, we had like that really cold snap. But the day was beautiful. There was no wind and there was so much sunshine. So just bundled up, just get the good layers out, and we got out there and it was fantastic. And it kind of takes, you know that like in the winter when you're just feeling all gloomy because there's no sunshine for so long and it's cold and the world just seems just like, wow. And then you get out there and you're moving and there's like sunshine hitting your face. You're like, wow, the world's great again.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And the
But
snow,
that was a -40 day.
yeah, sparkly snow.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I love it so much. Yeah.
The winds will like make it not so nice. So
Yeah, can't be any wind.
yeah,
Low
like,
wind.
If there's wind, it's a goggles day.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's perfectly deal. Sometimes you get hot, you overdress, and it's like, oh man, just gotta like take the
Yeah.
coat off.
Yeah. Victoria Flores, this has been so great. Thank you so much for coming on the
Thanks so much
Spoken
for
Word.
having me, and
You're
stay
welcome.
tuned for any of the group bike rides this summer we'll be having. I'd love everyone to have everyone
welcome.
go for bike rides.
Go
with
for a
me
rip.
and explore the city on a bike.
Yep. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.